Texans look right now?
Like the worst franchise in the NFL. Let me be brief. A franchise is hoping, let's say you started with nothing but a huge cache of draft picks, right? And otherwise you don't. How do you want to make your team? What you're hoping, if you drafted high up year after year, is eventually you might find a Deshaun Watson. The odds are against it. The odds are really against it. Very few quarterbacks have ever played like this. Odds are against it. And then a character guy who was a champion in college, who's the kind of guy who makes everyone believe, who's exactly who you want representing your franchise. You're lucky if you ever come close to finding that guy, even if the point is to rebuild your franchise. You have that guy, and you have so alienated him. Mark my words, you will now lose him. You will trade him. That is the worst franchise in football.
I think I totally agree with you. I think two things need to be mentioned. I think if I'm the New York Jets, I'm willing to trade the number 2 overall pick, the number 25 overall pick, even a couple of draft picks to get my hand on Deshaun Watson in New York City. If you're the New York Jets, trade them both first-round picks and trade them both first-round picks and whatever else you need to get your hands on Deshaun Watson. You do that if you're the New York Jets. That's number one. Number two, I think there's an investigation that needs to take place into what transpired from the time Deshaun Watson cried with gratitude about the Houston Texans paying him what they paid him, even though anybody would have given it to him, of course. There needs to be an investigation into what happened from that moment to right now, because he went from being completely and totally appreciative of the faith that they showed in him to losing complete faith in them in a season. That's something wrong with that picture. And again, I don't want to sit up there and sully the dead or anything like that. We know Bob McNair, the former owner, is God rest his soul. But the bottom line is this. Prior to the whole social justice issue, the whole social justice movement, he had alienated DeAndre Hopkins once upon a time. DeAndre Hopkins didn't like some of the things he said, with the whole, inmates running the asylum and all of this other stuff. Then the social justice issues came about. Now, obviously, he's gone, but his family is still running the show. Somebody did something. When I've spent time with Dabo Swinney, the coach at Clemson, he raves about the character of Deshaun Watson. Called him not just a Michael Jordan as a talent, but talked about his will to win, his perseverance, his tenacity. We know the great story with him, his mom, and all. He's a high-character guy. What happened from you going in one season to having nothing but gratitude for the team that gave you this money to not wanting anything to do with them? They did something.
It ain't Deshaun.
That's right.
It ain't Deshaun.
The Houston Texans did something, Jeff. I don't know what, but you, being in the Players Association, being an officer, being in the NFL years, knowing the NFL the way you do, guys don't switch on a team like that unless something happened.
Listen, you can't. You were spitting truth. I mean, the bottom line is this: you trade away DeAndre Hopkins, which is actually detrimental to this football team. Because whatever you want to say about Hopkins, this cat came out every Sunday, win or lose, and left it all out there. You see the minute that he goes to the Cardinals, what he did for that organization as a whole. So now you've traded this thing away. You have one of the top 5 quarterbacks in our game, not only on the field, but probably maybe top 2 or 3 off the field, and what Deshaun Watson brings to your organization, what he's done in your community, like Max said, won a championship, the leadership, all the things that he has brought to this organization. And at this point, you have so alienated this guy. He's ready to leave. Something went down, and I can tell you, it's the lack of respect of asking, what direction do you think we should be heading? Whether it's general manager, whether it's head coach, whether it's offensive coaches, you name it. You sit down with your guys. There's a nucleus of guys. I'm not saying they make the decision, but I'm saying you hear out what their thoughts are, because listen, they live it every day, right? The owner doesn't live live it every day. And I have no idea how McNair's running his football team, but without a general manager, and the head coach was a general manager who you fire midway through the season, the first guys I'm bringing in is the nucleus and the leadership of your team. 3 or 4 on offense, 3 or 4 on defense. Then you have a private meeting with Deshaun Watson. Hey, Deshaun, what are you thinking? Where do you like to head? What type of coordinator do you want? Where should we be going? And again, he's not making the final call, but his input is valued and trusted because you know he's on board with your team. I mean, I don't understand how many more guys got to get in the, and be on board with what you have. Once he's in, it goes a much better direction. It's just disappointing how they've moved on.
Yeah. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.